The internet is a big dumpster.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-Drunk fraternity guy, you got my asshole, bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquered divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a blue blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public dominant. Conquered divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the buggies will quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do this show live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. This is listener and viewer supported programming. People watching live on Twitch know how the monetization works on Twitch, and they can make their own decisions around that. If you're listening on the podcast and you want to continue to hear this show next week or whatever for some reason, you go to echoplexmedia.com, click at the top of the page where it says support, and find your favorite way to support this project. I'm producer Dave, and in addition to Grindr, you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm Plex Dave there, and I don't know, you should follow me. This is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Don't hate the cops. Oh, don't cops. Don't hate the cops. Thank your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Thank your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Don't hate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops.
So we have something up front that didn't really fit anywhere else on the docket and wasn't appropriate for red light. So I just put it first because that's sort of how I have to do it when something doesn't fit in. This is a former head of MI6 in the UK. He's talking about current world affairs and sort of the state of diplomacy and relations between what we might call Western nations, countries that used to be the United States' allies. And obviously, this guy's a fucking spy. So, you know, he may have his own agenda here with what he has to say.
I think we are in a new era where, by and large, international relations aren't going to be determined by rules and multilateral institutions. They're going to be determined by strong men and deals. I think of the Yalta Treaty at the end of 1945, where three strong men, as they were then, on behalf of the big countries, the strong countries, decided the fate of small countries. I think that's Donald Trump's mindset. It's certainly Putin's mindset. It's Xi Jinping's mindset. It's not Europe's mindset. That's the world we're going into for a whole set of reasons, and I don't think we're going back to the one we had before.
Why do you say that?
Because the one we had before was based on the unipolar moment where America had both the means and the will to assert itself across the world. It created what we call globalization, the international security structure. It's now a significantly smaller player relative to others than it was. And of course, its will to be that person has diminished. So it still remains a prodigious country. You underestimating America at your peril, but its ability to make the rules across the world, that's not there now. Okay. We are seeing deals. We're seeing a conversation about spheres of influence. And I think the only people who haven't woken up to this reality is us.
Europe.
Yeah, and there's an entry ticket to this conversation, it appears, and sadly,
it's interesting that this guy includes the UK and Europe after Brexit. And I mean, it's it's semantics because they're right next to mainland Europe, so I guess they're part of Europe. It's just interesting.
Our soft power or our values, it's hard power, and it leaves the category challenge for us in Europe. How do we develop that to get ourselves a seat in this conversation. No, I think it's unfortunate, and I agree with Catherine, this would be emboldening to Putin. I don't know whether Donald Trump actually buys the Russian line, but I think the Russians probably think he does, and I think that significantly diminishes his leverage. And I saw this happen in Afghanistan, where he gave away the biggest concession before we even started. It's a strange art of the deal, honestly. Look, Zelensky and Trump, they're in their way different politicians. Zelensky had no choice, I think, but to respond when he was accused of lacking democratic legitimacy. And Donald Trump is notoriously thin-skinned, and we've got into this spat. I do not think we should read too much into it. These negotiations are at a very early stage. They're going to be highly complicated. Exactly as I expected, Russia has gone maximal to the point that they may even have overreached. It's going to be very, very hard for Trump to cut through this in a way that produces anything that isn't an abject humiliation.
What do you mean Russia have overreached? What do you mean?
The issue is that Trump and Putin are talking about different things. So Trump thinks this is about territory, characteristically as a real estate guy. It's about land, giving land to Russia in return for peace. It's not about territory, and Putin said it's about sovereignty. Putin was super clear when he started this war that the existence of Ukraine as a sovereign and free country was an unacceptable affront to Russian security. He will not stop until Ukraine isn't a country anymore. And that is a completely different conversation. And by the way, there's more. There's Europe putting NATO putting constraints on its presence in Eastern Europe and going back to previous borders in '97. This is well out of scope. I don't think it's stuff that Donald Trump has clearly thought about. But you're instantly into it. Russia came out today and said they wouldn't accept Western troops in Ukraine. Of course they said that. They are determined that Ukraine should be an undefended basket case. But we're talking about security guarantees as a necessary endgame. It still feels, for all of this bluster, a fundamentally irreconcilable problem.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. I just am, a little bit skeptical about the head of MI6. Clearly has his own agenda, but I mean, it's right that Donald Trump is kind of stupid and keeps getting played by other people because he's like, oh, well, we should just give them some land. Maybe they'll build a fucking Mar-a-Lago there and then they'll stop trying to invade this place. And that's what's not going to happen. You give Russia some of the Ukrainian land, they're just going to wait a couple years and fucking take more of it. I mean, that's what we saw, like when nobody did anything when they went into Crimea. They waited a few years and fucking decided, well, we're going to take more of this actually. And so that's like what's likely to happen here. And I don't know whether or not Trump knows that. I think he might know that, but I don't think he cares, right? He thinks that he's making a deal. He thinks that that's like the most important thing, I think, for Trump is to make a deal. It doesn't matter whether the deal is good or who it's good for. He's just like, oh, I made a deal. That just seems to be like what he wants. And sometimes a deal isn't always going to work. I noticed in chat somebody mentioned the minerals. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy when he said, when he basically said, we'll help you, but you have to give us like the rights to half of your mineral deposits. That's fucking crazy. So up next, we're gonna talk about DOGE and mostly DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Apparently, tens of millions of people are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments. I think this is not true, but let's see what's happening here.
I want to set the record straight on your show tonight, Sean, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so. President Trump has directed Elon Musk and the DOGE team to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration. They haven't dug into the books yet, but they suspect that there are tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments. And so their goal in going into the Social Security Administration is to identify three things. Number one, to identify identify duplicate payments and to end them. Number 2, to identify payments that are going to deceased people who are no longer living and should no longer be receiving that money. And number 3, to protect the integrity of this system for hardworking Americans who have been paying into it their entire lives. So rest assured, to all of the people watching your show tonight, if you paid into the system, honestly, you will continue to receive your Social Security checks.
This is bullshit. I mean, hopefully if you paid into the system, you'll continue to receive your checks. But like, who knows, man? What if they decide that your shit is fraudulent? And then like, how do you even like redress that grievance? Because like a lot of people on Social Security, they're like on the razor's edge. And if you could imagine that mistakes might be made if you're taking like an axe to Social Security, if anything that even looks or seems like it might be fraudulent, maybe just due to like bad paperwork or, you know, systems that you don't understand that are going on, then some poor old lady doesn't like get her Social Security check and now she can't eat, and she's, you know, the next Luigi might be somebody's 91-year-old grandmother, you know. Here's Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank talking about the FAA and their software.
The FAA, it's not the people. The code is Cobalt. It's from the 60s. It needs CapEx.
That's a COBOL, not Cobalt. Cobalt is a rock, and COBOL is a programming language. Yeah, it's from the 60s, but it's still in use in many systems around the world.
Put into it for the technology. We upgraded to make it safer. Fat like a chicken. All of these agencies are like big fat chickens dripping over barbecues of fat. This is the best barbecue I've ever seen, but I don't
think this guy's hungry.
Fast enough. They're not cutting enough. Keep slashing, keep hacking while you have a 24-month mandate before the midterms. Cut. More cutting. Believe me, it's going to work out just great.
Cut, more cutting. Believe me, it's going to work out just great. These people don't understand, like, it is hard to maintain these old systems, right? These old software systems. There are fewer and fewer people who are good with the COBOL language because, like, everybody's learning, I don't know, what are the Rust? People using Rust right now. People are using, like, more modern programming languages. So it is harder and harder to find good people to help maintain old old COBOL code. The problem is there isn't like a translation you can use, right? You can't just translate it into Python or something like more modern, even C++ or whatever. So a day one rewrite, like starting right now to rewrite everything for the FAA, we might be talking 5 or 10 years for all this software to be replaced so that it runs on, you know, it would probably run like on Unix, well, hopefully Linux based systems. But this would take forever. It would take a very long time. And then, like, what do? You just flip the switch. And now you have the new system. Like, it's fraught with problems. It's fraught with problems. I don't know the answer here, but fucking Kevin O'Leary just complaining that it's an old programming language doesn't really help. And to be fair, the fact that it's an old programming language doesn't mean it doesn't work. Just old, probably not super insecure actually, because like even if there are flaws in the system, nobody's out there trying to fucking exploit the flaws in fucking COBOL. So here we got more from Kevin O'Leary.
I don't think it's happening fast enough. They're not cutting enough. Keep slashing, keep hacking while you have a 24-month mandate before the midterms. Cut. More.
Oh, that's just the end of the last one.
Believe me, it's going to work out just great. Everybody should be happy.
Even people with the nuclear codes, cut them too?
Cut everything. Because if you don't see what they're doing and they can't show you that they're adding value, you whack.
But it's not clear that they're even.
But what if I don't know what they're doing, right? Like, what do you mean if they can't show you what they're doing? What if I don't understand what they're doing? Like, I don't assume that I understand the inner operation of government agencies or the inner operation of any company or any other institution for that matter. I don't just operate under the assumption that if I don't know what the fuck it is, that it's bullshit. That's pretty dumb. This is all going to be a disaster. I hope they don't try to rewrite the fucking FAA's code. Elon's going to be like, we're going to do this in hardcore mode. We're going to do it in a month. You're going to have a bunch of fucking twacked out fucking 22-year-old junior software engineers writing all this fucking spaghetti code. Up next, we got a clip from an interview that Elon Musk and I guess the Vice President of the United States, Donald Trump, did with Sean Hannity. And we're going to find out that Elon can just police his own conflicts of interest as it pertains to the work that he's doing.
Your task now, and I pray to God this is successful. I really do. I wish you Godspeed. Godspeed, John Glenn.
It's going to be, by the way. I really believe.
But there are
the country's going to do well beside this. This is cutting. We're only talking about cutting. We're also going to make a lot of money. We're taking in so much.
What about
money.
His business? What if there is
then we won't
a contract he would otherwise
let
get?
him do it. If he's got a conflict, I mean, look, he's in certain areas. I mean, I see this morning. I didn't know, but I said, do the right thing. Where they're cutting way back on the electric vehicle subsidies.
Yes,
they're cutting back.
You lose.
Not only cutting back.
Hurt you.
Correct.
Yeah. Now,
you don't care.
I won't tell you.
Well,
he's probably not that happy with it, but that would have been one thing he would have come to me and said, listen, you got to do me a favor. This is crazy. But this was in the tax bill. They're cutting back on the subsidies. I wasn't involved in it. I said, do what's right, and they're coming up with a tax, but it's just preliminary. But I mean, if he were involved, wouldn't you think he'd probably do that? Now, maybe he does better if you cut back on the subsidies. Who knows? Because he figures he does think differently. He thinks he has a better product.
Yeah.
And as long as he has a level playing field, he doesn't care what you do, which is he's told me that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't asked the president for anything ever.
And if it comes up, how will you handle it?
Well,
he won't be involved.
Yeah, I'll recuse myself if it is.
If there's a conflict, he won't be involved.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't want that, and he won't want it.
Right, and also I'm getting a sort of a daily proctology exam here. You know, it's not like I'll be getting away from something in the dead of night.
Welcome to D.C. If you want a friend, get a dog.
Well,
I think plenty of people in Washington, D.C. who aren't Sean Hannity or Donald Trump have friends. This isn't like... I don't think that the subsidies, right, they don't directly help Tesla. In fact, I think getting rid of the subsidies might hurt some of the competition to Tesla, because Tesla's like an established brand, and some of the other auto manufacturers were not established electric car manufacturers, and the subsidy probably helped them basically convince folks who might have bought an internal combustion engine to give it a go on an electric car, like from Toyota or Honda or whoever. I don't think the subsidies were a big reason that people were buying Teslas. I also think some of the Teslas, if I'm not mistaken, they were too expensive to be eligible for the subsidies. But I don't know if I have that right. Up next, we got Trump is unaware of any conflicts of interest that might exist with the DOGE thing. I feel stupid saying that.
Mr. President, given your concerns about corruption, you said that if there were any conflicts of interest with Elon Musk, you wouldn't let him anywhere near it.
That's right.
DOGE and SpaceX employees are now working directly at the Federal Aviation Administration and the Defense Department, agencies that have billions of dollars in contracts with Musk's companies or that directly regulate his companies. How is that not a conflict of interest?
Well, I mean, I'm just hearing about it, and if there is, and he told me before I told him, but obviously I will not let there be any conflict of interest. He's done an amazing job.
It's not a conflict of interest if we do it.
They've revealed, in fact, he's going to be on tonight, a big show called Sean Hannity at 9 o'clock, and he's on and I'm on, and we talk about a lot of different things. And any conflicts, I told Elon, any conflicts, you can't have anything to do with that. So anything to do with possibly even space, we won't let Elon partake in that.
That's bullshit. Elon Musk is going to fucking obliterate NASA by like the stroke of a pen one day. This is all so stupid. Like, I can't believe the way that, you being concerned with corruption, like why front load the question like that? You don't have to do that. Fucking act like a journalist. Don't lie. Be like, you're concerned with corruption. No, he's not. he's concerned. He's like only concerned with like the aesthetics of fighting corruption, and so insofar as people will believe that he's fighting corruption. And up next, we got Elon. More from that Sean Hannity interview, actually, where I don't know if you know this, but you must obey the king.
The president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented. So if you take, for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order where, hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. Like, so obviously people do not want their tax dollars going to fund high-end hotels for illegals. And yet they were still doing that, even as late as last week. And so, we went in there and we're like, hey, this is in violation of the presidential executive order. It needs to stop. So what we're doing here is one of the biggest functions of the DOGE team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out.
You will not disobey the king. I don't know if he can tell like state governments whether or not to spend their money on accommodations for people seeking refugee status. And I think this line about them being like luxurious fucking accommodations, I think this is bullshit. I think there might be there might have been a couple cases where it was like kind of a nice hotel, but it could have been a case too where whoever owned the hotel was like, well, we do have some vacant rooms and we're going to do you a solid and give you a real cheap rate on these rooms, actually, because maybe somebody, I'm not super leaning hard into this, but maybe somebody who owns a hotel is like, well, I'd like to actually help these people. It's possible. I don't think it's likely, but it is possible. Up next, maybe it's from a spray. Maybe whatever it is, maybe it's from a spray. We spray all over the place. Autism is 1 in 34. Maybe it's from a spray. We spray stuff.
That as easy as you thought? Just quit. Well, in the end, they all voted for him. He did pretty well. You got through. But, we have one stat that I quote, the autism stat, and you hear different numbers, but it's thousands. They say between 10 and 20,000. So if you go back 15 years ago, we had like nobody. It was 1 in 20,000. Now we have 1 in 34. Is that right? 34.
I don't think that's swung in 15 years. I think we were talking more like 30 or 40 years.
So 34 or 36 kids have autism. And if you go back, I guess 18 years, that whenever that was done, it was 1 in 20,000. So we got from 20,000 to 34, 36. That's unbelievable. So there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
Well, there's probably just something wrong with the stats you're fucking probably pulling out of your ass here.
We've done something wrong. There's something, you're going to figure it out. Maybe it's a spray that we spray all over the place that nobody else does. Other countries don't.
Like what spray? I mean, chemtrails?
The Pennsylvania Dutch. They don't do anything, and they're amazingly healthy.
The Pennsylvania Dutch, they don't do anything, and they're amazingly healthy. Oh, God, he's like, this is fucking chemtrails. My fucking God. Oh, man, this would be a lot funnier if it was more funny, but this isn't exactly as funny as it could potentially be. I mean, I don't have to tell the people here this. We've talked a lot about the anti-vaccine community and like medical misinformation. The reason for the supposed increased rate in autism is almost certainly just better diagnosis. Where in the past, people would call the kids the R word, right? Or maybe they wouldn't say anything about it. They'd just be like, Sally's a bit slow. And a lot of it, too, has been increase in diagnosis among girls. It was for a long time that almost no girls were being diagnosed with autism. And it was almost all boys being diagnosed with autism. There's a lot of factors here, and he could have talked to somebody who has some knowledge about the statistics to figure it out. But I'm also really skeptical that in, 18 years, that it swung as much as he says. I don't think so. I think we're probably talking like numbers from the 80s or something. The 1980s, when we were the 1 in 20,000. It can't be from like 2008 or whatever he's saying here. It doesn't It's not that it can't be. I just doubt that it is. I doubt that it is. So up next, we have Donald Trump versus the governor of Maine.
By the way, that's good, but I understand Maine. Is the Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Not here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better.
We are the no. You're the president. You are not the law.
Do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state. Good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
What an asshole, dude! The governor of Maine should have just rushed the fucking podium. Fuck it. I know you go to jail for that shit, but just rush the fucking podium. Be like, well, I guess I can't be the mayor. I can't be the governor from prison, but I'm gonna rush the podium. What the fuck, dude? Like, yo. Up next, I know we talked about it earlier. The president seems to have suggested that if we're going to help Ukraine, that the United States should have access to about half of Ukraine's mineral reserves.
Right now, but what they did in Munich with President Zelensky was primarily to bully them, right? The Secretary of Treasury handed him a piece of paper that essentially required Ukraine to hand over about 50% of its mineral reserves to the United States, simply in payment of the support that we've already given, which we've given because they were a democratic country attacked by Putin and the Russian forces. I mean, can you imagine FDR in the middle of World War II saying to Churchill, you know, we're not going to continue to help you until you turn over half of your coal and mineral reserves. That's not how you behave when you want to support a friend who's under attack by an authoritarian like Putin.
Well, sure, but that's how you behave if you're fucking Donald Trump. Like, he's just like, give us half of your fucking minerals. I don't even think he fucking knows what that means. Like, what are he just is like, he thinks everything's a fucking deal where like you have to get something out of it and he wants to win every deal, but I don't give us half your mineral reserves. Well, then then they're just going to be like, they're just not going to have any fucking money. Then what? Oh, so dumb. Up next, here's Trump claiming that Zelensky has a 4% approval rating.
We're hearing that Russia wants to force Ukraine to hold new elections in order to sign any kind of a peace deal. Is that something that the U.S. would ever support?
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, or essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating. And
I don't think that's true. Why? So he's having like a press conference. Why isn't somebody from the press going, where did you hear his approval rating is 4%?
Our country has been blown to smithereens. You got most of the cities are laying on their sides. The buildings are collapsed. It looks like a massive demolition site.
Well, how did they get that way? What the fuck? Their cities are... How did the cities... Why are the cities destroyed? How'd they get that way?
So many of the cities. I mean, they haven't done it in Kiev because I guess they don't want to shoot too many rockets in there. They've done it 20%, but they haven't done it 100%. If they wanted to do it 100%, it would probably happen very quickly. But you have cities that are absolutely decimated. And yeah, I would say that, when they want a seat at the table, you could say the people have to, wouldn't the people of Ukraine have to say, like, it's been a long time since we've had an election. That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me and coming from many other countries also.
Having an election right now in the Ukraine would probably be difficult for the reason that he already outlined, that a lot of the cities have been turned into rubble. I think it's it would be better, sure, if they could have if they could have their election. I think they were probably supposed to have had an election. I assume. I think it would be better if they could have, but it doesn't seem like they can right now. It seems like there's some logistical problems potentially with attempting to have an election. Like if on election day, your polling place gets fucking kersploded. I mean, that makes it hard to have an election, right? Any number of things would make it hard to have an election right now. Up next, the Kash Patel hearings were a bit of a shit show.
Have you referred to the media as the most powerful enemy of the United States that they have ever seen? Is that right?
Again, you're reading a quote. I take that you're reading it accurately.
CPAC 22324. You said we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens who helped Joe Biden rig the elections. We're going to come after you whether it's criminally or civilly. Is that something you said?
That's a partial statement of what I said.
Steve Bannon's podcast. You also said you would put the entire fake news mafia press corps on your list. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
I don't have that in front of me.
Benny Johnson's podcast 82123. You have said that the FBI, including today, you said that they remain utterly corrupt. This is an agency with agents who have taken down terrorists, taken down bank robbers, taken down crime.
Well, I'm not sure I'd stand the fucking FBI. But the FBI is definitely only going to get worse, right? With this guy as the head. I think he's going to attempt to use the FBI to go after Trump's enemies, but I don't think it's going to work. And it's not because that you can't do that. It would work. I think somebody could do that. I just think that these people are fucking incompetent. And so they're not really going to be able to do it. I also think just a lot of those fucking people are going to resign when they're asked to do crazy stuff. Not all of them, don't get me wrong. There's fucking wackos in there, fucking cowboys in the FBI like any other place. But I think some of these people are going to fucking resign. And then, I don't know, it's going to be really hard to go after all the enemies of the fucking state if a quarter or a third of the FBI resigns. But I could be wrong. The FBI could just fall right the fucking line and they could be knocking on my door in a week. Who fucking knows? Up next, we have the acting ICE director apparently asked the Department of Justice to investigate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
When does it cross a line into aiding and abetting lawbreaking? Would it have to have direct involvement by her in helping people to evade ICE?
That's exactly the question I posed to the Deputy Attorney General. I asked him to look into it. I says, I know through my career, someone steps in front of you, in between you and the person you're arresting or repeating. Yeah, that's a violation. But at what point do you cross the line on saying you're educating people versus you're teaching them how to evade ICE arrest? So I've asked.
Oh, free speech is back, everybody.
Questions to the Department of Justice for clear guidance so I can share that with the officers of ICE. So we're looking for that clear direction so we can start taking action on people that want to evade, who want to help educate these people to evade ICE. So hopefully any day now we get that guidance sent out to the field.
Wait, what? No, you can tell people. You could actually fucking, I mean, no, who knows? Things, that might change, but you are not aiding and abetting anyone by telling them what to do when the police show up. By this logic, basically any legal aid in any city is aiding and abetting criminals. Any for-profit or any pro bono legal organization, a charitable organization with lawyers that informs people of their rights is aiding and abetting criminals. And I mean, that's where this might be going. I don't know, man. They're making noises about fucking arresting people, like elected officials from their opposition party. If they start doing that, this show's over, and I'm just in the street every day until they fucking round me up. I don't love the fucking Democrats, don't get me wrong, but that's it. It's over. If they do that, it's over. The first person they do that to, it's over. We're gone. There's nothing stopping them from continuing to do that. we're fucking through if that happens. Here's Alina Habba talking about New York City and how now everybody can drive there, because who in New York would ever take the subway?
That New York used to be one of the greatest cities in the country, and we will make it that way again. We will make it safe, and we will allow tourism. We will allow people to drive to work, not have to take unsafe subways, which, by the way, she should be focusing on, and doing the right things for constituents. I
think they're talking about AOC. They always do this shit where it's like, well, AOC needs to make the subway in New York safe. It's like AOC has no power to make any laws in New York. New York City, New York State. She makes federal law. She's a federal lawmaker. She can lobby local governments and stuff, but in that capacity, she's just a citizen like the rest of us.
Frankly, more of, in my opinion, a PR move than anything realistic. Congestion pricing is wrong. It doesn't work. And Sean Duffy did a tremendous job by getting rid of it. Well, I mean,
so we watched that clip. It was it was like a month ago, maybe, where the news actually asked a pedestrian in New York about the congestion pricing. And the pedestrian was like, this is great. Like, there are hella less cars here. I can cross the street. Like, the city seems like cleaner. People are taking the subway more. That seemed like a good thing. And it was like $9. I don't know. That's the problem there too, is like, I don't know, where I live, like bridge toll is about to go up to $11 to go from Oakland to San Francisco. So I don't like fucking see the big difference when you're going from one area to another. If you have to pay a toll, you have to pay a toll. Up next, here's Blaze TV talking about AOC, immigration, and Congress.
With all of this, the deportations, you have actual members of Congress who are openly trying to shield these illegal aliens from being deported. So these people are violating federal law, and
it is not a violation of federal law. This is wrong.
Have members of Congress, Ilhan Omar, AOC, who are doing that. And I think it's a reasonable question to pose. Is this at what level does this become treasonous behavior? I don't think is unreasonable to
It is very unreasonable to ask if it's treasonous to tell your constituents, regardless of their immigration status, what to do if the fucking man comes to your door.
To talk about. So I want to play Ilhan Omar hosting this remote workshop for Somalians and literally advising them how to avoid being deported. Watch.
xildhibaanad Ilhan Umar oo dhowaan la hadashay saxaafadda ayaa tala bixin siisay dadka sharciga.
They're talking about her advising people. I advise the Somalian people that if ICE attempts to question you, you are not obligated to answer their questions.
Yes, it is your right to shut the fuck up. It's your right not to answer anyone's questions, law enforcement or otherwise.
Just state that you were advised by a lawyer not to answer questions. Disclosure of your name, immigration status, and the mode of entry is not mandatory. Why does it take them so long to get through words? Learn the laws and prepare yourself.
Or they wouldn't be there, right?
Right. Learn the laws and refrain from disclosing information that you would prefer them not know.
Yeah. This is like really basic advice.
Am I being too harsh to say that this is that's treasonous?
Yes. Well, you're stupid. I don't know if it's harsh. I think it's stupidity.
No, and you asked the question, what defines treason? And the beauty is that when your guys are in charge,
this guy's show is called Heck Off, Commie.
Treason. And I would define treason as that. I'm not even joking. What would treason be if not? And that, they would be so much meaner to us, by the way, defining treason, sedition. The J6 investigation, obviously the largest in the history of the DOJ. But if you are actually advocating for illegal aliens to be able to remain in the country on the teat of the American taxpayer, you're committing treason.
No, that's not treason.
Why America? Americans allow for foreigners to be elected to positions of political power. Ilhan Omar was born in Somalia. She married her brother.
No, that's not true. They keep repeating this, that it's not, that this is, she did not marry her brother. Would you, I mean, she didn't marry her brother. What are they talking about?
Americans don't like. That's like not marrying your brother and being born in Somalia. We don't really.
Yeah, it's okay if you were born in the South, mind you.
We don't really click with that. And so I don't know why she's able to hold public office. And of course, the way that she decides to use that power is the way that all of these different immigrant groups have used power throughout the past 70 years, which is they use their political power to establish like these ethnic beachheads to facilitate more of people from their country coming over. They accumulate wealth, political power, and they use all
ethnic beachheads. This is like the language of immigration as invasion. Does he mean like that they have like a Chinatown? Or this guy probably fucking loves Chinatown, right? This guy.
Take advantage of well-meaning normal Americans and basically just like elevate their own status, whether they be Somalians, Chinese, Indians, what have you. And this is actually like maybe the most liberal, maybe the nicest thing I'll say, because I'll have my, critiques of like Black culture or Native American culture or what have you. But I actually do view those cultures and those people to be like inseparable from American history because they've been here forever. AOC is Puerto Rican. Ilhan Omar is Somalian.
So friend, Puerto Rico is. Does this guy not know? Listen, Somalia, you can't argue that that's America. I mean, Ilhan Omar is an American. She's an American citizen. You can't argue that Somalia is America, but Puerto Rico, that's America. That's the United States of America. Those are U.S. citizens.
Go away. Like, you are not part of the club. I don't know. And they demonstrate that by just trying to get more people, more global citizens to come into the country and just like completely ruin it. So yeah, they should all be, and now that Gitmo's open again, maybe we do have a place to send them to, right?
Now we're sending her to Gitmo for advising people of their rights. My fucking God.
Do you know my, I want to get your thoughts too, Eric, but do you know my Congressman Brandon Gill?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I am so proud of him. I am so happy that he is there shaking things up. He actually started a petition to deport Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, please.
I love it. It's how can you argue with this? It says Omar is more loyal to illegal Somalians than she is to the United States. Omar is hosting free workshops for Somalians who are in our country illegally on how to evade ICE and deportation. A member of Congress is facilitating a full-scale invasion of our country.
Oh, we should deport that guy. I don't know where to send him. I don't think any other country would take this asshole.
Objectively true.
Objectively true.
This is all okay. So Ilhan Omar is an American citizen. She won office by getting the votes of her constituents. She's having meetings with people in her community, and probably what I'm guessing is that I think most of the people there probably are not here without papers. But she's not checking everybody's papers at the fucking door. That Somali community in her district has been there for a long fucking time. This isn't like it just popped up last week. It's been there for a long fucking time. You know how you know it's been there for a long fucking time? Because there's like restaurants that have been there for fucking 25 years that people go to and shit. Those restaurants couldn't have been here for 25 years if there wasn't like first a community that got together and some of the people were able to build up enough capital to open a restaurant and shit. This is all bullshit. They just don't, I don't even know, like AOC, she's like a New Yorker. She's like she's from the Bronx. Like, she was born in the fucking Bronx. That song Jenny from the Block, it might as well be about fucking AOC. Like, she's not still Jenny from the Block, mind you. She's made some decisions that I don't agree with, but she's a New Yorker. She's a New Yorker so much that she would tell you she's a New Yorker before she'd tell you that she's an American or even a congressperson. Because that's how people from the fucking boroughs are. Anybody from any of the 5 boroughs in New York City, they're a New Yorker first. I kind of like civic pride versus nationalism and patriotism. Civic pride is pretty cool. Up next, we got Waters. We're waging a 21st century information warfare campaign. No, you're not. Waters certainly is doing no such thing. He has neither the will nor the capacity to do such a thing.
It's not really the same. Dana, we are waging a 21st century information warfare campaign against the left, and they are using tactics from the 1990s. They are holding tiny press conferences, tiny little rallies. They're screaming into the ether on MSNBC. This is what you call top-down command and control. You get your talking points from a newspaper, and you put it on the broadcast network, and then it disappears. What you're seeing on the right is asymmetrical. It's like grassroots guerrilla warfare. Someone says something on social media, Musk retweets it, Rogan podcasts it, Fox broadcasts it, and by the time it reaches everybody...
That's not grassroots. The first person is some dipshit on Twitter. The second person is the richest man in the world, and the third person is the most popular podcaster in the world. Friend, that's not grassroots.
People have seen it. It's free money. And we're actually talking about expressing information. They are suppressing information. They're
suppressing information. The conduit, again, is some dork on Twitter to the richest man in the world to the most popular podcaster in the world. I'm sorry, that pipeline is very top down. Like, it's just very, very top down. Here we got a Republican representative. It'd be Rich McCormick versus his constituents in Georgia.
You can go and yell all you want, but I can't understand 10 people, let alone 100 people.
Okay, so Georgia is the budget, not the president. And you are doing us a disservice to set that down and not stand up for us. And
a lot of this stuff will be litigated.
It's hard to hear all the words. I wish somebody would have closed captioned this, but
You don't think it's going to be litigated in court. You don't think I'm going to stand up for you. Stand up. So if we're going to have a town hall, and I'm going to come and stand in front of you and take your questions and try to answer them as honestly as I can, then let's do that, okay? But if you're going to just yell at me, that's not going to be an effective town.
no, yell at your representatives. Fuck it. Like, I think a lot of these people probably voted for fucking Trump too. I think when these people realize that all this stuff, they're like, oh, cut all the government programs. And then they were like, well, wait a minute. No, not the ones that I use. This is all gonna be pretty fucked up. But then they're gonna go, the same fucking people are probably gonna go back and reelect this asshole that they're mad at because like the other person's a Democrat. This is a problem with the fucking two-party system. Is there's really no effective protest vote, and you've been convinced basically that the Democrats are evil. I think the Democrats are feckless and useless, and some of them mean well some of the time. But this isn't going to get better. We're not going to, everybody's like, oh, wait till the midterms. These people are going to get clobbered. No, they're not. No, they're not. We'll take a few seats back in California, maybe some in New York, maybe a couple random sort of purple districts in Texas will flip, but that'll be it. We're not going to flip the Senate, and we're not going to flip the state houses. I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. Up next, we got J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois. He is going to talk about not bending the knee to Donald Trump.
We don't have kings in America, and I don't intend to bend the knee to one. I'm not speaking up in service to my ambitions, but in deference to my obligations. If you think I'm overreacting and sounding the alarm too soon, consider this. It took the Nazis 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, and 40 minutes to dismantle a constitutional republic. And all I'm saying is that when the 5-alarm fire starts to burn, every good person better be ready to man a post with a bucket of water if you want to stop it from raging out of control. Those Illinois Nazis did end up holding their march in 1978, just not in Skokie. After all the blowback from the case, they decided to march in Chicago instead. Only 20 of them showed up, but 2,000 people came to counter-protest. The Chicago Tribune reported that day that the rally sputtered to an unspectacular end after 10 minutes. It was Illinoisans who smothered those embers before they could burn into a flame. Tyranny requires your fear and your silence and your compliance. Democracy requires your courage. So gather your justice and humanity, Illinois, and do not let the tragic spirit of despair overcome us when our country needs us the most.
We'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. I don't know that much about Pritzker, but what I have seen from him is he's at least not afraid to call this shit what it is. I know it's just all words. I know it may not matter that much in the end, but there are other people out there like the mayor or the governor of my state, Gavin Newsom, who isn't saying nothing like that. Ain't saying shit like that. In fact, I think he's afraid of Donald Trump. And Gavin Newsom is a much more powerful political figure. You don't have to like him to understand that the governor of California, especially a governor of California that won a recall attempt like 3-1, is a much more powerful political figure than the governor of Illinois. But Chicago's history being what it is, it's not surprising to me that the governor of Illinois is willing to call this what it is. Up next, this is going to be fun. We got a Blaze TV hosts. Thanks to the participants, J6, for storming the Capitol. And this is actually Alex Stein 99, who is a friend of Aaron Smith Levin, because every dumb thing is the same fucking dumb thing as every other dumb thing.
Yeah, he's ready. Let's bring on the one, the only. He was in jail for over 4 years as a political prisoner. The one, the only Jake Lang. Jake, how you doing, my friend?
Thanks, Alex. God bless you guys. What a indignity that CPAC is doing against me and the other Jan 6 brothers. They're truly showing their colors are that of a rhino. They're not red Republicans. They're like gray-skinned rhinos. So, we stood up against that as we...
What's up with the people that are on the couch?
For 4 years and 6 days while I was incarcerated as a J6 hostage. We never relented. We never compromised. We never took the plea deal. And when they thought we would just silently go into the night after being kicked out of CPAC, we also made a little bit of a ruckus. We streamed it out to millions of people who were watching, and we exposed CPAC for being the uniparty establishment hacks that they are.
And Jake, can we play SOT number 2 Jake's on? So Roger Stone's nephew, Alex Stone's a good young kid. I don't know if we have the overlay where we can play it. He says that he overheard Matt Schlapp kind of laughing and bragging about how they kicked you guys out. Why? What was the reason? Did anybody give you a reason? Because you didn't cause a disturbance or anything. I mean, what was the...
Did you have a ticket?
For the 86?
This conference is a for-profit event.
No reason other than us being January 6 political prisoners that cannot be bought off by the establishment uniparty. And, in fact, I had, for the second year in a row, bought a booth at CPAC.
He had a ticket.
To congregate, tell our stories, to raise funds for our legal defenses. And, I bought 22 tickets and flew guys out from across the country. In fact, some of them are here in the car. It's a little blurred, but Cowboy Coy Griffin is right here.
We love Cowboy Coy. Thank you for storming the Capitol. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for storming the Capitol, Cowboy Coy. Fucking Alex Stein 99 is a giant piece of shit.
I'm actually mad that I didn't storm it, but you guys, I'm
mad you didn't.
Well,
I'm mad you didn't.
And it is.
No. Before we go any further, where were you on January 6, 2021? I want to know where you were.
I was
latitude and longitude.
It's funny. I was live streaming and I was talking with Nate Coffey, who ended up getting, found guilty for assaulting not Roseanne. He was near Roseanne Boylan trying to protect protect her, but he assaulted that famous female cop. I forget her name, but we live streamed and he came on my live stream.
The murderer, Lila Morris, the murderer.
Lila Morris, yes, sorry, excuse me, Lila Morris, the murderer, yes, 100%. Allegedly, for any legal purposes, she's allegedly a murderer to protect us. But no, Jake, so your story is not that unique. You have these thousands of other guys that got arrested, and a few of the people that are on this panel, one of these guys has a real good career, and he's worried that's because he has 2 ex-convicts on the show with him that he might lose his job. What do you say to his employer, Jake?
Oh, I say stop being woke liberal snowflakes.
He works for Planet Fitness. How did you know that he works at Planet Fitness's corporate offices?
Well,
that guy's gonna get fired.
Praying that he quits that, because $10 a month to sit and watch girls whine without any free weights is too much. So
are you going to quit, Reese? Reese, are you going to quit, or are you going to continue to work in the corporate at Planet Fitness?
$10 a month is pretty good, so I don't know. We'll see.
That seems like a fair deal, Jake.
$10 a month?
What's the latest? They let y'all back.
Oh, that means that's like how much it costs to join Planet Fitness. This guy's like, oh, there's no free weights there. Like, that's like, do you even lift, bro? Shut the fuck up. I don't lift, bro. Do you lift?
So yesterday, as I was trying to get the credentials for the 22 people that I bought tickets for, they told me.
Wait, you wanted to try to get press credentials for 22 people? You showed up. You had a booth. That's fine. You had tickets for people. That's fine. I bet they kicked him out when he fucking started freaking out on them because they wouldn't just give 22 people press credentials. You don't just show up at something like this with 22 of your homeboys and expect press credentials for everybody because you bought a booth. That doesn't even, like, I don't fuck CPAC, but that's not how any of this works.
Revoked, probably because of the advocacy that we do for the January 6ers. We're unrelenting and they don't like that. And then today we heard through the grapevine that Matt Schlapp had personally invited me back and told me that he was going to comp our booth. He was going to pay for our booth as a gesture of, contrition and a little bit of, love for the Jan Sixers. But then when we showed back up, we were treated even worse than we were the first day. If you guys see the video that I posted on my X page, Jake Lang, J6, my young friend, the youngest January 6er, Isaac Thomas, was literally physically assaulted and thrown out because he was sticking with me. He's like, well, this is communism. You guys are treating Jake Lang like a terrorist. He's a pardoned Jan 6er. He should be, the red carpet should be rolled out for these men. I did over 900 days of solitary confinement. By God's grace, we survived. But today they doubled down and they had the police, actually 4 police officers, come and physically remove us. And so
when somebody rents a fucking an event hall and they tell you to leave, you have to leave. There are limited circumstances under which, like if you can prove that they're trying to make you leave because you're a woman or you're gay or something like that, I guess. But your recourse is for that even is in the courts afterward. Yeah, they're going to call the fucking cops on you because I guarantee that none of this would have happened if this dude wouldn't have tried to get fucking 22 press passes for people that he didn't even email ahead of time. I don't, from what I'm hearing here, to ask about the press passes. Like again, fuck CPAC, but we tried to get press passes for a conference once, and we ended up not getting them. It didn't matter because it was a fucking chemtrail conference and there was nobody there. But it's hard to get fucking press passes, and it's impossible to get them if you just show up and demand them. And I almost positive that's what happened here.
CPAC, God, sometimes he orchestrates things to happen where our enemies actually expose their hand and they show who they are. And, we learned through January 6th, the weaponization of the deep state FBI. We saw that these people were not patriots. They were not for us. And again, we're learning that CPAC is in that same, they're like the same jackboot thugs that came and kicked our doors down and dragged us out of our homes. Same exact type of people.
Okay, and before you go, though, Jake, I want to sit down. We can have a longer conversation and talk about, the fact that you were a political prisoner. But my producer, Jimmy, and without my permission, he's going to CPAC, and I'm kind of mad that we're even supporting them. But what should we make my producer do? Should he have to...
Without my permission, he's going to CPAC?
What can he do to get kicked out? Because my producer has to get kicked out now. So what can he do as an inside guy to disrupt it for you?
I said, I'm not going back to CPAC unless Mercedes Schlapp comes and cooks me pancakes tomorrow morning at my Airbnb that I paid thousands of dollars to. There's like 15 people staying there, all the Gen 6ers. So,
well, what about the other 7? I thought you had 22 people with you. Where are the other 7 staying?
your producer can drive Mercedes over to our Airbnb and she can make us blueberry pancakes, and then we'll all go to CPAC happily ever after.
And I hope this guy gets kicked out of his fucking Airbnb too. Fuck it.
Well, they are rhinos. That's the thing is we have a uniparty, Jake. You know that both sides are just in on it. That's the sad reality in which we live in, that they give us this illusion like we have a choice when it's all one uniparty. Okay, so my producer has to seduce Mercedes Schlapp.
What the fuck?
Because that's his only skill, right? He's
That's
to seduce her, and then
dude. I don't fucking like Mercedes Schlapp, but why do you got to be like this, man? Why do you got to be like this? Seduce her? Fucking shut the fuck up. Whoever produces this guy's show can't seduce anyone.
get her to your house to be a maid to cook these pancakes in lingerie. Is that what you said? You wanted her to be in lingerie? I don't know if they're going to go for that.
Oh, great. This is fucking fantastic. Let's up the ante and just be incredibly sexist. Fucking fantastic.
Me or Mercedes Schlapp in lingerie?
Mercedes Schlapp, not you, Jimmy. This isn't a gay adventure for you, okay? This is a straight deal, Jake.
What the fuck?
Jake's a straight guy. He's a good guy. Jake, tell the people before you go, how can they find you and support you? And you know, like, what's next for you after CPAC? I know we're here with Adam. He's kind of like figuring out what's next. It's kind of hard now that you're out. So how can people support you and what's next for you?
Oh, actually, I'm running for United States Senate against Rhino hack Ashley Moody, who was appointed by Governor DeSantis, who himself tried to overtake Donald Trump because he is also another rhino, and the same tens of millions of dollars
So
that he raised.
he ran like I don't like Ron DeSantis, but there was a primary for the fucking Republican Party, and Ron DeSantis was one of the goals that ran. I mean, fuck Ron DeSantis, but what do you mean? Would you just not want anybody running? That's what they want. They don't want anybody running against Donald Trump or anybody that fucking questions Donald Trump.
From the CPAC donors to try to reverse the MAGA movement and return us to the old boys club uniparty. Ashley Moody and Ron DeSantis will be taken down by real 1776 patriots, Jan 6er. So I'm running for United States Senate in Marco Rubio's open seat. And we are also suing the government for $50 billion for the wrongful incarceration of the Jan 6ers with my new organization, Federal Watchdog. So lots on our plate. And
$50 billion?
Never compromise. As Trump said when he was shot, fight.
Are you in a grocery store?
I am in a 7-Eleven. Yeah, I wanted to get a little better lighting than my friend's Toyota there. So
Nathan has low blood
there.
sugar, so he notices restaurants and stores very well.
No, I just realized that he was standing in.
What the fuck is happening here?
Because he's in D.C. He's out on the grind, Nathan. Damn it, Nathan.
I'm hustling. Actually, this is a place that got lotto tickets. So try your.
He's trying to win the damn lottery, Nathan. Okay, well, you listen. You're a smart young man. You did not deserve to go to jail that long, and your story deserves to be told in a better form and fashion when we can sit down and talk much longer. So, Jake, I'm going to be in touch. Thank you for everything you did. Thank you for storming the Capitol. I'm sorry I wasn't.
All right, I have a lot of questions. One, like, what are you doing in the 7-Eleven, like, fucking calling into a show? But also, like, what was going on with the guys, the Alex Stein's sidekicks? Like, were they allowed to talk? I thought that one kid on the right was going to start picking his nose. I don't fucking know. Heard from the chat that I think it was time for tinfoil, fired Alex Stein 99. If we watch another Alex Stein 99 and it's bad, stupid, and obnoxious, we may also fire Alex Stein 99. So last night for Saturday, we watched some of CPAC. We may go back to that later tonight because there's just not a lot on my red light docket, actually. And by not a lot, I mean one clip. But we didn't get to see this last night. So I figure we'll just run this.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
What the fuck? any rational society, there would be an adult who looks after fucking Elon Musk 24/7, right? Like what the shit is. Here's a part of an interview. I guess this was probably I guess we just watched what happened at the end of the interview, or maybe it was how he came onto the interview. But here's apartheid Clyde, possibly high out of his fucking mind, though I don't know, and I don't want to cast aspersions at people who use drugs. So,
if you got to protect the First Amendment, it's not much more important than that.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of criticism, and people said, "Well, that proves he's a huge idiot from a, you know, like, look, you know, he voted for whatever, $44 billion, and now it's worth like 8 cents." And
it's not worth 8 cents.
But you know, there's it was essentially to you know, buy freedom of expression.
Oh my God! Like, oh man, you know what you can't buy? You can't buy cool. You can't buy swagger, right? And that guy has no swagger. That guy has no cool. It doesn't matter how much fucking money he has. You can't buy swagger. Now, if you're going to get kicked out of CPAC, you should probably do it like this.
Oh yeah. Hey, what? You don't have a badge, but I'm with Elon. I'm with the hair plug Hitler himself, Elon Musk. Let me in. Hey, Orange Spice Satan. Get rid of brown people for me. I'm Aryan white. There ain't no place I'm going to. Hey, Orange Spice Satan. Get rid of every other race but me. And on the jingly January 6th, I'll come apart. It ain't you. Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest, known as the chokehold this guy has on me. No political violence. Come on, everybody, let's storm the hotel bar right now. Let's cause an insurrection at the hotel bar. We got Marjorie Taylor Scream over here and shit. Hell yeah! Hey, Orange Spice Satan! Not in the building. Not in the building? Hey, Orange Spice Satan! Get rid of every race but me.
So that other guy getting kicked out of CPAC was probably not nearly as funny, right? There's just no way that it was that funny. And it was, I mean, it was kind of cringe, like Orange Spice Satan, like whatever, but like, good, I guess good for him. So people were talking about this in the Discord, and we may end up watching this whole thing on Tuesday. There's no down ballot Tuesday night. But we may also do the Shasta board meeting. I don't know, but here's an ex kicker from the NFL, Chris Clue. I hope I'm not ruining his name. Getting kicked out of the Huntington Beach City Council meeting.
This council does not listen, so instead I'm going to take my time to say what MAGA has stood for these past 3 weeks. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence. MAGA stands for resegregation and racism. MAGA stands for censorship and book bans. MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing. MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal. MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA, including canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds to education, including for disabled children. MAGA is profoundly corrupt, unmistakably anti-democracy, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly a Nazi movement. You may have replaced a swastika with a red hat, but that is what it is. I will now engage in the time-honored American tradition of peaceful civil disobedience. Get the heck. Get out.
Fuck yeah. I think I've heard that guy's name before too. I think he was like I think he got like Kaepernicked, if I'm not mistaken. Was he not? Was he the, am I right that he was the only, like one of the only white NFL players who took a knee? Like when Kaepernick was taking a knee? Am I wrong? I think that's the same guy. good for him. Kind of sucks that doing that shit ruins your career, because I don't think he's a kicker anymore, and I don't think it was due to his performance. I think it was due to other performances he was doing. And his last name is Cluey. Cluey. Thank you for correcting that. So it's good. Like, every once in a while, you see something good at one of these meetings. Like, that guy just called it fucking fascism, and like that guy, he, from what I remember, that guy gave it all up to do this horrific taking of a knee, in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick. Excuse me. So that's the docket. I learned from Chad he's a podcaster. I wonder if he'd come on. I presume he's more popular than I am, but I'm cool as fuck. I wonder if he'd come on. Maybe we can reach out to him. So that's been the show. You can get if you're listening on the podcast and you're wondering, what did he mean when he said red light? What do we mean only one story? What do you mean they're going to watch CPAC? You could tune in live sometime, Sundays at 7 p.m. Pacific. That's at twitch.tv/Echoplex Media, and possibly YouTube, though who knows? Who knows if YouTube has yeeted our stream tonight. It happens sometimes. Otherwise, eplex.store or patreon.com/Echoplex, $5 a month or more. You get the audio and video sent to your inbox the very next day of the entire show, which is, I don't know, cool. And if you want the rest of this show because maybe you're just not sure you want to fucking take the plunge and break bread for $5 a month, just email me. I'd be happy to send you an MP4 or an MP3. I'm not really paywalling that over some $5. That would be some weird petty podcaster shit. So everybody, I'm going to change the color of the lights in here and pour myself a cocktail, and we're going to go into red light. So if you're watching live, hang tight. This is Boomers by Periscope. We'll be back in a few minutes.